All right, how's it, everybody? It is 5 p.m. West Coast time, 2 p.m. Hawaii time, and 8 p.m. on the East Coast. 7 p.m. for those central people. Yes, that is right. I am Mad Statter, and it is time for Chatter with Statter. For those of you who might be here going, what's up with the stream starting and stopping today? That's right. 3 times I started this stream today in hopes that we could get the gear that would allow us to downgrade, but alas, we are broadcasting at the 1080p source. That's what I'm coming from, and that's what Twitch has decided everybody gets to get. So if 1080p is too much for your system to handle, I'm so sorry. Twitch is going to be a little bit twitchy today. I wish that I had more control over the gear situation and how it is doled out, but I'm not an affiliate yet. I'm not a partner yet. I'm just an affiliate. And while affiliates definitely get some priority with the adjustable streams, the partners are the ones who are guaranteed to get it. I know this is all technical Twitch talk that you guys don't really care. You just know that my Twitch isn't really acting as good as it could. So, hey there, Glenn Paul. You're at your son Godfrey's house tonight, so you're going to have to be quiet. All right, then. There you go. Clickety clack. You got to be silent. So good to see you here in the chat today. All right, well, now that I know that we've at least got one person here, let's get this party started. All right, good to know that eMusic is also in the house. We've probably got some lurkers here hanging out, at least I hope, but that's all right. I can talk for as long as it takes before somebody else decides to say, hi there. So eMusic, Glenn Paul, so happy you are both here today. Today, as you may or may not know, today I'm going to highlight something that has been a theme of my stream since the beginning. And Glenn Paul, you might not know this, but since the beginning, my stream's theme has been just throw it at the wall, see if it sticks. Learn while you go. We're all learning here. Show off your mistakes. Make fun of your mistakes and learn from them. So today, I'm going to share with you something that is a brand new thing that I am learning to do. And once again, these types of things that I'm learning to do are not necessarily very hard. And so if you feel like throwing the haha emote when you find out what it is that I'm trying to do, I will completely understand. But you see, there's this really cool, if I'd have been thinking I'd had it in arm's reach, there's this really cool technology. It's called a gimbal. And you can mount your phone in this like thing. And it's a joystick that you can then remote control your phone and see where it's going. Or not see where it's going, but, you know, film stuff. Anyway, before I go on, I'm going to say, hey, Malka503, good to see you here tonight. Aloha. So I'm just now learning how to use the gimbal for my video adventuring. I'm already not that good of a video person, so of course I thought I would try to learn something new on top of what I already don't know. Hey, Kenny from the Cove, good to see you here. I'm just explaining to folks that I'm about to show off a video that I made this weekend. It is literally, I mean, seriously, guys, this is the very first video ever I have made with a gimbal and my cell phone. Now, it took me, I won't even tell you how long it took me to get my cell phone and my gimbal to like figure out how to talk to each other, because apparently they were not on speaking terms for quite some time. But suddenly the silence, the coldness thawed, and they decided they could get along and talk to each other. I still don't know what I did. Yeah, so they work together now, and basically, I wanted to show you guys this little video that I took. And yes, you will wonder, what is she focusing on? I don't know. I didn't mean to. I was learning how to use the joystick remote controls. This is truly a like, oh, I don't really know if you should show this video, but I'm gonna be showing this video anyway, because it does show a little bit of some prettiness. It is, for those who have been on this stream for a while, I do talk about the Longfellow Creek watershed in the West Seattle area, and Longfellow Creek is the longest non-piped creek system in the city of Seattle, and it is in West Seattle. And anyway, this particular video was made on a piece of the Longfellow Creek trail that goes along the creek in the woods. And it's quite pretty right now. The ferns are just unfurling from their little fiddle heads, and there's a lot of greenery and moss. And so, like I said, there's not a lot of focus on this particular video. It truly is a case of trying to figure out how to get the thing to look around. And honestly, I don't know why, but every time I wanted it to go up, I would press down. And every time I wanted it to go down, I would press up. So there's that. But yeah, so enough with my excuses of why this is really not a very good video. I'm going to share it anyway, because it is kind of pretty. So on that note, let's go watch the pretty. Yeah, Malka, the gimbal was given to me as a gift, and it took me, like I said, longer than I care to admit to figure out how to use it. But I think it's going to be really cool, especially when I go down to Hawaii. I'm going to try to live stream, like on the street and stuff. The biggest problem I had, and this was even in the woods, I had this problem, my phone screen isn't bright enough. I probably need to go into the settings to fix this. But even in the shadiness of the woods, it was very hard to see what it was that I was capturing on my phone, because the reflection and the light, and it just wasn't, it was like looking at I think you guys all know what I'm talking about. It was like looking at a dark screen, because my screen just wasn't bright enough for the bright light, even though I actually am in the woods. And honestly, the lighting when I was there was much darker than it looks on this video. I'm kind of amazed at how, in fact, walking into the woods, I was kind of concerned. About whether or not it was going to be able to pick up much because of the low light, but no, actually, it does really well, way better than I thought. And thanks, Glenn Paul. Yeah, I don't know if they're silver birch or not. I'm not sure which tree you were looking at, but there are, a ton of different varieties here. This particular one is a cedar tree that I've just walked by. This is literally just, a few steps off of neighborhood block area, quite undisturbed, wildlife, or flora and fauna. Flora, I guess, is what we're looking at here. I didn't see any fishies in the creek. I was looking. No returning salmon yet. But this is actually a salmon spawning creek. So I'm going to perhaps, see, this is where I'm learning how to do things and stuff. I'm going to hopefully get to be able to catch some salmon spawning later this season. That was a difficult phrase to say. And Kenny from the Cove, that looks just like the trail to the rock igloo your buddies and I built when you were kids. Nice, nice. No, I know eMusic. eMusic is saying, gee, it doesn't seem dark to me. I know. I'm quite stunned at the amount of light that it was picking up, because I'm under a forest canopy at this point. I actually am in significant shade. Absolutely no direct sunlight, really. It's very strange how bright it looks in this video. I cannot even explain to you. Now, those stairs go up to a park that I walked around to, but unfortunately this video ends abruptly at the 10-minute mark, and I truly have no idea why. I did not stop it. And unfortunately, this video, I was so annoyed when this happened. This video, as I turn around to walk back, and literally like right after the video abruptly ends, a black cat walked across the path and then ran up those stairs that we had just passed. And I thought to myself, you know, I don't know if any of the footage that I'm getting right now is good, but if nothing else, getting that black cat crossing the path is going to be awesome. I'm so glad I have that on video. Yeah, as it turns out, I didn't get that on video. I was so frustrated when I realized that when I got home and was like, wait, I'm reviewing the footage, right? See, I'm learning stuff, and that didn't mean to happen, right? See, that shouldn't have happened. So I got home, was reviewing the footage, and I'm just like, wait, the video looks like it's going to be ending really soon, and I still had a whole lot more of my walk that I thought I was videotaping, and then boom, it ended, and it was just like, oh, all right then, I guess I didn't get the video. Not sure what kind of tree that was. I'm guessing an alder. Alders are extraordinarily common in the wetlands of the Puget Sound. In fact, county planners have been known to go by aerial photography, and if you've got a lot of alders clustered on your property in a certain low-lying area, they literally just assume that it is a wetland and they zone it as such, even if it is not. And yeah, you know, Emizuk, I think I know which river rock you're talking about. It looked, yeah, I thought it looked like a little turtle too. And Kenny from the Cove, you know what it means when a black cat crosses your path? It means that black cat had some cat business to take care of. That's exactly it. That black cat sort of paused and looked at me like, why are you here? And then it was just like, I don't have time for your nonsense. And he just ran up the trail, ran up the stairs, and then off to a different trail. Yeah, he didn't have time for my human nonsense. None of that. So, let's see here. Oh, yes. Okay, so I think what I'm doing here, is trying to, well, hard to say what I was trying to do. I think I might have been looking at the salmon berries, because salmon berries are about ready to come into, they're actually already in, oh no, we didn't look at the salmon berries yet. I was just looking at ferns, I guess. So over there where is the orange netting, that used to be a bridge, but the bridge washed out. And let's see here. Okay, now we're about to look at the salmon berries. The salmon berries look like raspberries, but they're actually like orange. And those bright pink flowers that I'm not doing very good at focusing on, those ones right there, those are the salmon berry flowers. And as you can see, salmon berries are starting to get their little green berry nubs, and they will eventually mature into an orange berry that eventually turns to red, but really when they're orange, they're fine to eat. I don't think they're very good. They're not very flavorful, but they're perfectly fine to eat. They're a native berry of the Pacific Northwest for sure. And I think that bush that we're looking at is actually the one with the tiny round green leaves. That's actually, I think, a huckleberry, a red huckleberry, which is very different than a purple huckleberry. Red huckleberries are a lot more tangy and sour, whereas purple huckleberries have bigger seeds and are much sweeter. I actually prefer the red ones to the purple ones. The purple ones are almost too sweet, and their seeds are too big, in my opinion. So there you go. Let's see here. Pecola T is here and got one eye on hockey playoff game. You're in a noisy bar, so you can only read the chat and wanted to say hi. All right then. Well, hey there, Pecola T. Since you can't hear me, I'm gonna say hi, Pecola T. Mahalo for this gimbal. Okay, so for those of you who might not know, Pecola T is the one who gifted this fancy pants gimbal that I'm finally learning how to use. And so you can thank Pecola T for this not so wonderful footage, but you know, hey, we're learning here. And that is exactly what this whole stream and adventure online is about. And by the way, you guys, if you've got any kind of videos that are clearly not professionally made, and you don't really know what you're doing, and the whole video is just you figuring out how to do your thing, see, there's me. Well, if you want to share them with the world, by all means, send them my way, madstatter@gmail.com. I am not going to make your videos look good, as you can see, but I can definitely share your learning curves with the world, because one day, I hope, I'm going to look back at this video and I'm going to cringe and I'm probably going to cry, because I'll have been so much better that I can't believe I let this trash out in the public to see, right? That's what we're all dreaming of, right? Is to someday make ourselves cry with the silly stuff that we used to do. And exactly, practice makes for learning, says eMusic, and I agree 100%. And so, like I said, all y'all, you know, if you've got, oh, I think I see the turtle again. If you've got something that you want to show off, well, I've got a platform here for you guys to show yourself off. And let's see here. Looks like we've got a couple people watching the sports balls. Let's see here. Okay, I guess sports ball is not exactly appropriate when it comes to hockey, because hockey's not sports ball. Hockey's hockey. Let's see here. Pacola T saying no problem. Hope I'm having fun with it. I am, Pacola T. I am. You probably can't hear me. See, now right after that, right after that, there was the black cat, but you didn't get to see the black cat. And oh, Malka, you've got stuff to share? Yes, awesome. I will obviously give you credit if you want. Now, if you want to remain anonymous, be sure to let me know, because otherwise I will be shining and waving your flag of learningness all over. And so yeah, so thank you guys so much for putting up with that little trek through the woods. It would have been a lot longer if my video didn't quit for no reason. And I'm still not sure why it quit, because the next time I used the gimbal, that didn't happen. So I mean, did I stop it on accident? I obviously have a lot to learn. Yeah, clearly we have a lot to learn. And so, okay, it looks like, it's playoff. Oh, it's playoff hockey. Right. Of course. Well then, no wonder we've got folks paying attention to the hockeys. It is playoff time. All right. So, now, speaking of learning how to do stuff, oh, thank you so much, eMusic. I don't know if it was necessarily as interesting as it could have been, but it was definitely a little fun trek for me, and I'm so glad that you guys at least got to experience some of the Pacific Northwest nature, because we are an extraordinarily, on the west side of Washington, especially in the Puget Sound Basin, we are extremely wet. And so moss and ferns are galore. Even in urban settings like Seattle, you can wander into a forest and sort of feel like, wow, this is actually like a real forest. So there you go. Malka, my email address again, I'm so sorry I didn't mention that, or if I did, I mentioned it too quick. madstatter@gmail.com. statter@gmail.com. All one word. No underscores, no nothing fancy, just boop, madstatter@gmail.com. I somehow lucked into grabbing that. I don't know how I was the one who got to get that, because I happen to know there's more than one Mad Statter in this world. Couldn't get the Mad Statter Twitter handle, that's for darn sure, so there's more than one of us. All right then, let's see here. Okay, so another thing that, Kenny from the Cove, it's always fun watching Statter experiment while I'm learning new stuffs. Well, I really appreciate that you guys have given giving me an audience to show off all the new stuffs, and hopefully one day the new stuffs won't just be random videos of full-length cuts. It'll actually be video editing, which is on the short list of things to be experimenting with, but I wanted to get the gimbal down first, and now I think my two focuses are getting new emotes, and learning video editing. So we'll see how quickly those things happen. Another thing, though, that I'm sort of relearning is this handy thing that I had before. It's called, hold on, it's called a Stream Deck. And I hadn't been using it for quite some time, but I started to realize that I have so many different things that I needed to like relearn how to use this. And the reason why I needed to relearn how to use it is because I stopped using it when I switched my streaming software, and I hadn't figured out how to get them to talk to each other yet. And so today I got to figure out how to get to talk to each other. And so now I have to remember to push buttons instead of mousy click the mousies. So I'm actually relearning old stuffs today. So if you see me going, oh, that's because I want to do one thing when I should be doing another thing, and I'm remembering it halfway through. Yeah, there you go. Little peek inside the noggin here. All right, so I've talked about this a couple times, and I'm going to keep talking about it for a while. So hopefully on this Saturday, I've got this movie on order. I've got the movie Tuskegee Airmen on order. And so this Saturday at Statterbox at the cinema, 6 p.m. West Coast time, we're hopefully going to be watching the movie Tuskegee Airmen about the squadron of black air pilots in World War II that had basically a record that is, I mean, it's an unbelievable record. It's phenomenal. It's just like, you've got to be lying. Those numbers can't be right. No, they did that. They did all that. And so one of the mechanics from that squadron is turning 100 on May 21st. Yes, May 21st. And so he would like a birthday card. And so if you can remember to shoot out a birthday card to Mr. Victor W. Butler, I believe it's his son, is going to be gathering those birthday cards for him. And so send that gentleman a happy 100th birthday card. He said he'd read all of them. Now, obviously, you don't have to, but if you want to, this is where you send them. And there you have it, Rabbit. And anytime you need me to re-show that address, I can do it because I've got a button for it now. See? I pressed the button, and there it is. And here I am. And, so eMusic, fantastic. You got your birthday card out to him today? Cool. Yeah, I actually have a card for him, but I don't have a stamp, but that's okay because I'm going to go to my post office tomorrow, so it's on the agenda. It's halfway there. And Melka, yeah, the movie is a good little movie, not to mention it is very informative as well, and so I figure, might as well, since nothing about this show is set in stone, even though I try to plan my movies out ahead quite some time, nothing says I can't rearrange the schedule when a birthday pops up. And so when this crossed my news path, I was like, I think I need to see if I can find that movie. And looks like my King County Library system is going to be getting me that movie. And yeah, there we have it. So Picola T, you'll send him a card on Monday. That is fantastic. Let's see here. Oh no, Andre on Bart, Twitch not working so well. So hello and all. Yep. Hi there, Andre. I don't know if you can hear me, but hi. Twitch might not be working very well for all you all today. If you weren't here at the beginning, you didn't hear. We didn't get the gear, which kind of sucks. So that means that if you can't handle the 1080p source, things might be a little twitchy for you, and unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. That's just what Twitch decided to do today. And eMusic, the post office has birthday celebrate stamps. Oh, I should grab one of those then. There's this one stamp that I was looking for at my post office a little while ago, and I think it was called the Raven, and it was a Native American style Pacific Northwest Native American style art of a raven, I believe holding a pearl in her beak. And, it's the coolest flippin' stamp ever. And I was like, oh, I need a box of the, or a box, no, a sheet of those. And the lady was just like, oh, dude, those have been sold out for a while. Like, there's no post office in Seattle has those anymore. Those are long gone. So I'll tell you what, you guys, and it sounds like throughout the country, they're kind of hard to find. So if you happen to go to your post office and you find the Raven, they have the Raven stamps in stock. Apparently they're hot ticket items. So I don't know if you're a stamp collector or what, but they're cool stamps anyway, even if you're not a stamp collector. That's the only reason why I wanted them. I just thought they were super cool. Yeah, if you happen to find them at your post office, you might want to grab a box or a sheet. Let's see here. Let's see here. Bacola tea. I'm in a bar and I can't hear either. Andre, rightfully. A bar is more fun than Bart. Bart, of course, being Bay Area Rapid Transit, which I'm assuming that's what Andre is talking about. What with Andre being from the Bay Area and him using public transportation to get to and from work like a super awesome person that he is. And, and I knew what you meant, Andre. Funner, that is. I hope you're not in a gunner place. Yeah, exactly. I think we all knew you meant funner. And speaking of fun, last night, I guess it wasn't fun. It was sort of just a hangout, super quiet, chill. I don't know if you guys know, but PBS has a new documentary out on Duke. Oh, I can never say his name unless I look at it. Duke Kanahamoku. And Duke Kanahamoku is a gentleman from Hawaii who was an amazing Olympic athlete, along with so many other things. I am literally just going to keep it at Olympic athlete because I can't even begin to touch on all of the other things that he was, aside from absolutely a huge ambassador of Aloha and quite literally, I think, maybe responsible for the entire tourism industry the state of Hawaii enjoys today in his own weird way. That might be a little far reaching, but after you watch this particular, let's see here, this particular documentary, you might see why I said that. Now, unfortunately, that's not a very good screenshot that is coming up. So, let's see here. Can I do this? No, I cannot. All right, well, that's all we're going to see right now. But basically, it's an American Masters. It's American Masters. And if you go to pbs.org, if you're in the United States, Glenn Paul, I honestly don't know if you can get public broadcasting, the public broadcasting system that we have here in the United States. So what I'm about to say is probably United States centric. Now, if you have a VPN and you can tell your VPN to act like you're from the USA, then you can probably access any PBS website as well. But basically, American Masters is the series that this documentary was created under. Duke Kanahamoku and Jason Momoa is the narrator. And I cannot tell you how awesome it was to watch that video and to learn so much. One of the things that I thought was really interesting, and I think still stands to this day, Duke, when he first entered the realm of Olympic level swimming, he was an amateur of immense proportions. Didn't swim, with a club or anything like that, but he happened to get into a race that he not only qualified perhaps for the Olympics, but he actually beat the world record for that distance. I can't remember what distance it was. He was just some literal unknown off the street in Honolulu, who jumped into the water and beat a world record. Now, all the white folks around, especially on the mainland, they were like, that dude is not, you're lying. You don't know how to use a stopwatch in Hawaii. Ain't nothing right about this. So he had to go to the mainland and prove himself. Well, unfortunately, the first time that he had to go prove himself was in an indoor pool in Philadelphia I think it was in the winter. The water was freezing by his body's standards. He had never swam inside before, let alone in chlorinated water. He wasn't familiar with how to do the kick flips and how to turn around. And basically he bottomed out. I think he cramped up and he had to actually be saved. Like, I mean, it was just, it was bad. But within 4 months, he trained and became good enough to go to the Olympics and win a gold. Now, I know these are sort of spoiler alerts, right? Well, this happened in like 1920 something. So if I can't talk about it now without getting called a spoiler person, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, this is like 100 years old news. Look it up. So he ends up winning the gold, which is flippin' amazing. Now, he also only ended up winning the gold because there was some mishap and misunderstanding. The Americans were told the wrong time for the one event that he was supposed to be, swimming in. So he wasn't there when the game was about to start, when the meet was about to start. Anyway, the guy from Australia who was the presumed winner, he was just like, no, you know what? I don't want to. This is the Olympics. I'm supposed to be swimming against the best. And if the supposed best isn't here, then what are we doing here? It's not going to be a true contest of what is best. We're going to wait until he shows up, or we're going to wait until whatever. Anyway, this guy Cecil Headley, something like that. I can't read my handwriting, so I'm not going to tell you. Cecil, I will tell you that much. He basically, from Australia, he basically was just like, no, not going to swim unless he's here. So they waited, they got him, they did whatever. Duke came, Duke swam, Duke won the gold, and Cecil won the silver. Cecil would have won the gold, but he was just like, no, nope, what's the point, right? And I have to say, this reminded me so much. I mean, it's very different, but sort of similar. It reminded me so much of this woman that I know of from the roller derby community. And her name is Erin Jackson. Now, Erin Jackson ended up being the very first African-American woman to ever win a speed skating gold medal for the United States. She won it in 2022. And she almost didn't make that team. Now, before she was Erin Jackson, speed skater, gold medalist, she was actually Erin Jackson from the Jack City Rollers in Florida, one of their star jammers. She was a roller derby girl. Roller derby woman. She was a roller derby chick. And in 2018, 6 months before the Olympics in Korea, she started to speed skate. And she qualified 6 months before the Olympics. Never having done ice skating, she did roller skating, she did roller blading. Roller blading is a little bit similar-ish to speed skating on ice, but not really. But she ended up competing, and so and to my mind, that 6 months between starting the sport and at least qualifying for the Olympics in 2018. That was just mind-blowing. Nobody could have done something that fast, right? Well, as it turns out, no, actually, Duke did it, and he did it faster. He did it way faster, because it took from 2018 qualifying for the Olympics until 2022 when she actually won that gold medal. But what makes this story also like Duke's story is Erin almost did not make the Olympic team in 2022 where she did end up winning the gold, because during the qualifying rounds, she slipped and she bit it. She did something and her time just sucked and she didn't qualify. And her teammate who did qualify said, yeah, you know what? She can have my spot. And so her teammate stepped aside and said, yeah, come on in. So her teammate stepped down and gave Erin that spot so Erin could win that gold medal. Very similar, it reminded me of what Cecil did for Duke. And, you know, I just couldn't help, as I was listening to his little, good Lord, that was demeaning, his amazing Olympic trajectory, I kept thinking of Erin Jackson. Now, I know it's not the same level. I know it is not. What Duke did is more impressive. It was a faster rise to glory. I'm not arguing that. But I still think it's very interesting how they both had these nuances of like, well, if it weren't for this, if it weren't for that, if somebody hadn't shown either of them good sportsmanship, things would have been so much different, right? So yeah, I don't know. I hope though, even though the roller derby connection is lost on, you know, all y'all, because it's not your scene that you came from. I do hope that you guys enjoy the Duke documentary, and I hope that, you know, you just have as much admiration for him as I do now that I know more about him. And let's see here. And eMusic says, and it repeated when Duke let Johnny Weissmuller win. Yeah, you know, I don't know. Did he let him win or did Dude just win? Because, I mean, Dude was tall. Johnny Weissmuller was a swimmer who did eventually go to beat Duke. I mean, I don't know. You know, like, that guy, you know, Johnny, he kind of looked like he was built like Michael Phelps back in, you know, 1928 or whenever this was. I mean, did he let him or did it just sort of, I don't know. But regardless of whether or not Duke let him or not, Duke absolutely was just like, yeah, dude, somebody finally is as good as me. I mean, like, Duke did have the best sportsmanship attitude, no sour grapes about losing to this other dude. I mean, he was just, I honestly, like, my thought when I saw that part of the movie was, oh, he was just stoked to have somebody as good as him finally, you know, like a peer that was worthy. Oh, okay. Duke did train him. Okay, gotcha. His Hawaiian way allowed him to win. Okay. Well, okay, that could be. All I know is he just seemed really. Well, you know, he did actually have this element of proudness that was exuding from the pictures that were in that particular documentary. So, honestly, I'm not really surprised to hear that might have gone down that way. And let's see here. Melka, you remember those roller derby days? Watch that back home in Hawaii like wrestling? Yep, there you go. There was a heyday for wrestling and roller derby, although the roller derby that I participated in is a little bit different than the roller derby that most folks think of from back in the day. The Banks Track roller derby is what was so popular in the 70s and early 80s, and well, in the 60s as well, actually, long run. But bank tracks are so expensive to build, maintain, store, travel with, that most roller derby in the modern era is done on a flat track. It's a much easier, it's a much more portable game, shall we say, when it's on a flat track. And consequently, because it's on a flat track, there are some different rules than what bank track works under. Now, there are bank track leagues around still. They're just not nearly as numerous as the flat track leagues, mostly because it is so expensive and so difficult to find a venue that can accommodate your Banks track and some place to store the bank track when you're not using it, a place to practice on with the bank track, building the bank track, taking it apart, transporting it from practice space to event space. All of these are factors that work against having a bank track as popular as the popular form of roller derby these days. Although, frankly, with the closing of so many roller rinks, flat track roller derby is starting to find a similar lack of real estate for their flat tracking. So that's unfortunate, but you know, whole other thing. And yeah, bank track is kind of badass, but you know, flat track is not too shabby either, actually. You know, here's the thing with flat track. Okay, with bank track, basically you can only block to the inside because it's easier to block. It's easier to shove your opponent downhill than it is uphill. But then also at the top of the bank track is a rail. And so while people do go over the rail, it is harder to get them over the rail. Well, flat track, that you can push your opponent in or out. So that means sometimes skaters quite literally go flying into the crowd, which is kind of fun when it happens, actually. Let's see here. So you found it interesting that Duke was given King Kamehameha's, I'm assuming F means first name, Paoa. I didn't know. I didn't catch that part of the documentary. In fact, I'm going to go back and watch that documentary again because I was streaming it last night and there was a couple times where if I hadn't been streaming it, I would have stopped it, rewound it, and rewatched, because there was a couple times where it's like, wait, what did they just say? Wait, I want to, hold on, wait. But because I was streaming it, I thought that would be kind of rude. Like, oh no, you guys, just hold on, wait, I want to rewind this. So I didn't do that. But tonight I might rewatch it again, and I'll stop and rewind at my leisure. And I'm sure I will capture in my brain a whole lot more that I missed. And honestly, to tell you the truth, eMusic, I didn't know that, how I didn't know this, I don't know. I didn't know that King Kamehameha's name, was Paoa, which, you know, kind of makes sense. And, yeah, the prophecy about the second, yeah, that was at the very beginning. And quite honestly, I didn't catch as much of that as I'd wanted because I was busy making sure my stream was streaming right. Because I wasn't sure. I was stunned that we were able to watch the PBS show together, because I was really quite convinced. I almost had convinced myself not even to try, because I was sure that PBS had some kind of stream blocking technology for restreaming like I was doing. But I guess they don't. And but I wanted to make sure it looked like it was going through, but I wanted to log in and log out and come at it from like a backwards way to make sure that it really was his, it was going out right, and it was, so woohoo. And eMusic, Kamehameha, his nickname, not his birth name. Well, you know, I intuitively knew that was not his birth name, but quite honestly, I don't think I ever thought to ask or remember what his birth name was. But no, I did. I intuitively somehow knew that Kamehameha wasn't actually his birth name. That I did know, but beyond that, I guess I just didn't bother to connect any dots or anything. And Kenny from the Cove, in a related note, your first ever crush as a young lad was a roller derby lady. You know, I'd be willing to bet that you are not the only guy in the world to have a phrase similar like that. Yep, have an experience like that. Not at all surprised to hear that a young lad might have been smitten by an aggressive lady with shorts and fishnets. Although I don't know if they wore fishnets back then, but still. So let's see. All right. So as we are wont to do here, Mauka, yes, roller women were hot. Yes, that is something that when the resurgence of roller derby took place in the, let's see here, early 2000s. I was about to say the 90s, but that's not that long ago. In the early 2000s, absolutely the sexiness of the sport was played up, and there was a whole lot of what eventually became known as bout fits. A roller derby match is oftentimes called a bout, and so and then you've got outfits, and then you've got your outfit for the bout, and their bout fits, and those are usually oftentimes with the ripped fishnets and the tutu skirts, etc., etc. The sport did eventually grow out of that, although on the upper levels, that is, the sport did grow out of that. That being said, the tutus do seem to be a drawing plus for the little girls. And when I say little girls, I mean like the 4 and 5-year-old girls that are learning how to be roller derby girls. And they're generally like the little girls. They're called the Tootsie Rollers. That's the league or the level of roller derby. They do Tootsie Roller Derby. And I tell ya, I don't like kids at all. And one of the cutest flippin' things that I've ever seen in my life is a rink full of little girls in tutus trying to play roller derby. I mean, it's, it's like watching a bunch of 6-year-olds trying to play t-ball. They don't really understand what they're doing, but they're tiny and they're funny to watch and they're just so cute in their uniforms. I'm telling you, dude. Yeah, so even though I don't like kids, Tootsie Rollers are cute. And Kenny from the Cove, no fishnets back in the day, but those big blonde bombers in shorty shorts. Woohoo! Yep, the shorty shorts. There you go. And Emi's at Kauai has a roller derby women's team. I didn't know that. Watch out, I'm showing my age. I know, right, Malka? But hey, I'm almost 50, whatever. It is what it is. So Kauai has a roller derby team. I didn't know that. I do know that the Big Island has, Hawaii Island has a roller derby team. They're called the Paradise Rollers or Paradise Roller Girls. And my friend Bipolar Lola is a referee for them. And I've been invited to work with them on several occasions, but haven't ever been able to get out to Hilo side for that. I know there's at least 2 roller derby teams on Oahu, and I'm 90% sure, just 90% sure, that Maui's got a roller derby team as well. But I didn't know that Kauai had one as well. Doesn't surprise me, but I had no idea that they had one. I can say I've never seen them skate. Whereas I have seen the Paradise Roller Girls skate on several occasions. But I do know, though, that Oahu, I think, has 2 of them because, if I remember correctly, as with so many things, there was a roller derby team in Honolulu, or maybe Pearl City, and it was a whole bunch of Navy wives. And the local chicks were like, yeah, this is really annoying. We're going to start our own league. And so they did. Now, I'm not trying to make a division between the Navy wives and the local chicks, but what I am saying is almost every single roller derby league I've ever worked with eventually has some group going, yeah, this kind of sucks. We're going to make our own league. So, so I don't mean that as like a local Navy wife divide. I just mean like, oh yeah, the league it sounds like the leagues turned into 2 leagues, and there you go. That's absolutely, yep, that's roller derby for you. That leagues definitely have been known to bifurcate, for lack of a better word. Sometimes more than once, which is a little bit annoying for the officials that are stretched really thin trying to work with all of the leagues, especially when you're trying not to be involved in league drama and you're working with all of the leagues. So eMusic, they're advertising for new members, but you forgot their team name. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I think almost all roller derby teams are always advertising for new members. It is a full contact sport. It is a sport that is expensive. It is a sport that drains your time, your energy, your money, your time, and you might get hurt doing it. So with all of those factors, there's a high turnover rate, because I mean, even if people don't want to turn over, right? Even if people want to keep playing, you can't keep playing when you've got a broken ankle. It just doesn't happen. And you might get a broken ankle while you're playing roller derby. Pardon me, I'm trying to do something here, but I cannot, and so I'm going to do something different instead. If you've noticed, you may or may not have noticed, Rick is not here right now, and I don't know if Darlene is, but I think that Darlene is off doing something, but I know that Rick, he is, let's see here. He is, oh, thank you, Kenny. There we go. I was trying to get to a message to delete because somebody wanted me to buy followers, which is why I did the haha emote. That is just silly. We don't buy followers here. That's something normally we don't laugh at first-time chatters unless they're offering to sell us followers. Then we laugh at them and then we ban them. And I was going to do that, but Kenny from the Cove got to it with the Sword of No Mercy. But as I was saying, Rick, who also wields the Sword of No Mercy, Rick is off doing vacation things up at his cabin right now. So we're not going to see Rick here for the next couple days, and that's okay. But sometimes you need somebody to back you up, and that's why we got Kenny from the Cove. All right, thanks. Let's see here. And Kenny, you're saying that even today, roller derby is not for the faint of heart. Absolutely, totally true. And yes, roller derby is in Hawaii, and seeing that is going straight on the bucket list. That's funny. You definitely want to wait a little while before you venture to Hawaii in search of roller derby. Right now, the governing body of most of the roller derby leagues in the United States is a organization called Women's Flat Track Derby Association. And then the men's branch is Men's Roller Derby Association. These governing bodies right now are just now allowing their leagues to restart gameplay after 2 years of let's not get near each other. This is a full contact sport, obviously, so lots of sweat and spit and just whatever gets exchanged in the play of things. And so the last couple years, obviously not been a lot going on in the roller derby scene. It's now slowly starting to get restarted. And so there might not be a whole lot of public bouts yet. So give it some time to ramp up, and then eventually you might be able to find some local leagues that are putting on some shows or putting on some bouts. But right now, my best guess is, even though teams are currently training, very few actual games seem to be happening at the moment. obviously I don't have a finger on the pulse of Hawaiian roller derby. This is coming from the Pacific Northwest. But most of my social media, the reason why I got onto social media back in the day was purely for roller derby. It's how roller derby was coordinated and planned. And so to say that my social media is heavily skewed towards the roller derby verse would be an understatement. And so from Canada through down to Mexico, mostly on the western side of the country, or the continent, I guess is really what I mean. Those are where my roller derby connections lay. And in that geographic realm, which is quite large, not a lot of bouts are happening. A lot of teams are getting started again, but not a lot of games yet. So give it 6 months, and it'll probably be pandemic allowing. It will probably be back, getting maybe not the full swing of things, but getting into the swing of things. And let's see here, Kenny from the Cove, could you do a roller derby in a biohazard suit? Well, it's not so much the biohazard. I mean, it's the breathing of the air, right? I mean, I guess, I don't know, dude. I mean, I guess maybe with N95 masks and helmets with full facial covers, which are allowed, I just don't see it. It's all about the air and and breathing and your face. I mean, roller derby, here, let's go revisit that picture right here. I mean, look, that's not 6 feet apart, right? You're breathing on people, right? And so it's just like, it's not so much a case of getting breath on your skin as it is getting breath where your breath is going to come in, like breathing in other people's breath that they just breathed out is the issue at hand, right? So, and then also, not to mention, I think from a heat exhaustion point of view, doing roller derby in a biohazard suit would be extraordinarily risky, just from a heat exhaustion point of view. But I'm not even sure, like, I really don't feel like the biohazard suit would even provide enough of the protection, Are you picking up what I'm laying down? Because I feel like I'm just not sure I'm saying my thoughts right. But there you go. I don't know. So let's see here. Oh yes, I remember there was a couple other things I want to talk about, because last stream was our Mother's Day stream, and we talked a little bit about the orcas that are giving birth these days in the Pacific Northwest waters, which is super awesome. And I wanted to show a video last time of a baby orca. It's the very first baby from the K-pod that has been born in 11 years. And the K-pod is the smallest pod. In fact, here, let's look at this. The K-pod is the green line, and it's the smallest pod in the Southern Residents group. Now, as we discussed last stream, Southern Residents are the group of orcas that range from Oregon, Northern California, Washington, and British Columbia coasts. They are made up of 3 pods, the J pod, the L pod, and the K pod. And the K pod is currently the smallest one. Unfortunately, back in the 60s and 70s, the K pod was the pod that was the victim of the most captures during the mass capture events, where the orcas were taken from their families in the wild, and brought to places like SeaWorld and other aquariums and zoos to be taught and trained by humans, and then put in tiny pools to be given, to put on shows for people. And K-Pod, unfortunately, in the 60s and the 70s, that pod was the one that was the most decimated by those mass capture events. And thanks to those mass capture events, there was only 16 members of that lineage left in the 70s. They have had a very hard time rebounding. As you can see, currently, they only have 17 members in their pod. That's actually not true. This particular chart is a little bit old. They have 19 members of their pod now, and it's 2022. And it was the 70s that they were decimated to 16, and now they have 19. And 19, thanks to the little baby that was just spotted a couple weeks ago. And the ironic thing is, though they don't know if the baby is a boy or a girl, they do know that the baby was born from K20, and K20, their name is Spock. And the reason why K20's name was Spock is because Spock was thought to be a male whale until 2004, when Spock gave birth to their very first calf. So I'm guessing that the whales in K-Pod tend to look a little masculine, which is why they were misidentified. I guess there may be some non-binary whales there or something. I'm not quite sure. But everybody was super stoked to learn that that K-Pod does have a new baby. And like I said, brings this up to 19 of that pod group. And that's pretty much the highest that's been in a very, very long time. So we're pretty stoked about that. And this particular video was taken off of, I believe it was off the shores of Lincoln City, Oregon, in the Pacific. But
I don't want to get harassed.
I also want to say it might not be Lincoln City. So I'm not going to tell you for certain it was Lincoln City, but I think it was Lincoln City. Kenny from the Cove, snatching up wild animals that weren't endangered before you got there to put them in a zoo or aquarium. That grinds my gears that people do that. You're telling me, my friend, you're telling me. Especially since orcas do live so long. The years in captivity, have spanned literal decades at this point. And even if there was infinity resources, money, people, and ability to take these whales that have been in captivity for so long and manage to track down their pod family and then put them back in the wild with their pod family, I mean, that's literally the best case scenario, and it still is full of huge risks. From the fact that they're not used to living in the wild after so many decades. Hold on. I've been fighting that sneeze for a while. The fact that there are so many, that they haven't been in the wild for so long, their chances of surviving, even with their pod mates, is an unknown, how we really don't know. And so it's just, it's a horrendous situation. Thank you guys, Gesundheit, bless you. Oh yeah, Andy Bumatai had to cancel his show thanks to allergies. And I'll tell you, I didn't think about canceling, but I can appreciate why he thought about doing it, or why he did it, because it is the season to get sneezing. There's no doubt about that. So now, I know that I just went off on a somewhat horrifying rant about the southern residents, but I'm not going to leave it at that. I am also going to point out that not only does K-Pod have a brand new baby, we have, as of May 2nd, so Kenny from the Cove, if they reintroduced a captive orca, would the other orcas think the new orca was bougie? Honestly, I don't know, and I feel like they have released one before, and I don't really know how that went. I want to say that the pod actually recognized them from back in the day and was just like, oh my god, Auntie Susan, where have you been? For lack of a better, but I actually don't know, but I do know that, these animals are so family-oriented and have such a sophisticated social structure that, that you can't just take for granted, like, oh, we'll just throw her back into the family and, see what happens. Like, I don't really know if that's a good idea. I don't know if it's a bad idea. I don't know if we know what would happen if we did that yet, I'm not so sure there's been a whole lot of studies on what happens when you reintroduce a formerly captive wild creature, not to mention the orca, if there's orca babies that were born in captivity. I mean, come on, like, how on earth, like, I don't know, although you do realize you just got me rabbit hole material. I'm gonna probably do some research on that, because how could I not? And C Honda, how you doing? we're still talking about whales. I just finished talking about the K-Pod new baby and showed a video. We were kind of revisiting that topic from the Mother's Day episode. But first, before I go into this next thing, I'm going to say, hey, Malka503, thanks so much for hanging out. And hopefully we will see you next time later. Good to see you today, though. And, all right, so I just went on a very depressing rant about the status of the K-Pod in the southern resident orca whale population. But now I'm going to switch gears a little bit, just a little bit. That is, we're going to talk about humpback whales. Now, humpback whales in the Salish Sea 25 years ago were virtually unheard of. Unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. You just didn't see them. And then in like 97 or so, they sort of started to show up again a little bit. This one particular humpback was sort of coming around a little bit regularly, and it was a particularly easy humpback to identify because she had a weird lump on the side of her dorsal fin. And so they eventually named that particular whale Big Mama. And the reason why they named that particular whale Big Mama is because she was the first humpback to start repopulating the Salish Sea with humpback babies. She was the first mother humpback to bring a baby humpback with her all the way from Hawaii to the Salish Sea for their spring and summer feeding grounds. And she has birthed 7 calves so far in her lifetime. And the 7th calf was brought to the Salish Sea and identified just this last week. Actually, no, that's not true. May 2nd is when, so 9 days ago, is when they realized that Big Mama had her 7th baby. Now, they knew that Big Mama had her 7th baby. Actually, that's so, all right, hold on. I'm going to rewind. They knew that Big Mama had her 7th baby. They witnessed Big Mama and her calf in Hawaii in February. But the trek between Hawaii and the Salish, that's all the way or halfway across the Pacific, is, 3,000 miles of pollution, of orcas that do attack baby humpbacks, shipping traffic, tons of things. There's a lot of, it's an obstacle course basically for a little baby whale. And so they're never, ever, ever sure that the baby humpbacks are going to make it from Hawaii up to the Salish Sea. And as it turns out, Big Mama, she's not new to this game. She had her 7th baby, and her 7th baby made it into the Salish Sea. It is the first of the calves that have been spotted this season. And so what I'm going to do is, let's see here. I'm going to show you this cute little video. It's not a very long video, but here's a video.
Got that one though.
Yeah, so like I said, 25 years ago, no humpbacks in the area. Big Mama started hanging out. She birthed 7 different babies that she has brought into the area. Super awesome. But what's even more awesome? Last year, 21 humpback calves made it from Hawaii to the Salish Sea. 21 new humpbacks in the last 12 months have been, well, actually 22 now with this season's one, have been introduced into the Salish again, and the population is basically rebounding in ways that nobody could imagine. Last year they had the 21 calves. The year before that, there was 11 calves, and 11 calves was actually kind of a big deal. But then came 2021 with 21 baby whales. And so 21 baby whales is what I have to say when people like C. Honda and Pinnell and Katie's Aura and Terry in Scotland come in from a raid. Hey guys, good to see you. We are talking about we're talking about a bunch of things. But right now we're talking about humpback whales and the brand new baby humpback whale that has been spotted in the Salish Sea. For those who aren't familiar with the term the Salish Sea, that is an area of water that is sort of inland from the Pacific Ocean on the west coast, and it includes the Hood Canal, the Puget Sound, and the inner channel of the Queen Charlotte's Islands, which goes up the coast of British Columbia into Alaska. Basically, the water that is not the open ocean water, but on the other side of all of those islands, Vancouver Island, San Juan Islands, and all of those channel islands that are up and down the Southeast Alaska coast and the British Columbian coast, that is the Salish Sea. And that particular area has had inhabitants and indigenous peoples living there for tens of thousands of years. We've got petroglyphs from the cultures that have been here for so long, etc. Huge whaling area, massive sea life, extraordinarily populated in the Salish Sea. However, obviously, just like the rest of the world, whales diminish in number, Chinook salmon have diminished in number, this, that, and the other thing have diminished in number. But now we are talking about how the humpback whales 25 years ago were virtually unheard of in the Salish, and now we have a population that is so large that literally last season 21 new humpback whales came into the Salish Sea. The year before that was 11 new whales, and this season is literally just starting. So the count for the calves is literally just starting now, and as of May 2nd, the first calf from Hawaii has made it to the Salish, and they haven't named it yet, but they know that it's Big Mama's 7th calf. They don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but we have got our first little baby humpback whale in the area, and we're super stoked about it. So let's see here. Hey there, yes please, okay, good to see you. You're part of the Chatterbox crew now. I am Mad Statter, and we are here talking about this, that, and t'other thing. Right now, we're talking about whales. And Pinnell found structures from 14,000 years ago in BC. Absolutely, yeah. That whole area, there's actually petroglyphs down in the South Sound. And yes, BAT GV or CGV3, we are talking about whales, humpback whales in the Salish Sea. And the Salish Sea, for those of you who don't know, is is basically the area of salt water that borders British Columbia, Canada, Seattle, Washington, Puget Sound, Hood Canal, up through Vancouver Island, and then southeast Alaskan waters close to the shore. Basically is what the Salish Sea is, and Indigenous peoples have lived in that area for thousands upon thousands of years. And like Pinal J just said, 14,000 BC, structures have been ID'd, and we've got some petroglyphs down in the South Sound that I don't know exactly how old they are, but they are also tens of thousands of years old. Yeah, lots and lots of life in this particular zone has been living here for quite some time, on land and in the ocean, and we're starting to get some of those ocean dwellers back. So I know that this is just a silly topic, but I can't help it. I'm going to show you more pictures of the baby whale. It's time for baby whale pictures. Baby whales. That's the mom and that's the baby. And honestly, the baby looks really big to me, but whatever. And apparently that's the mom's tail, and then the baby is on its side, so that's like the baby's arm, or pectoral fin. It's its arm. And that's the baby apparently being on its back, and it's apparently very, it likes to somersault, etc. In fact, that baby, I think that's also the baby, but I'm not sure. Let's see here. So this is Big Mama's 7th, and that's the baby again. That was his two side fins, apparently. Anyway, this baby from Big Mama is number 7. Number 6 baby from Big Mama was eventually named Pop-Tart because Pop-Tart loved to pop out of the water. And they said that this particular baby acts a whole lot like Pop-Tart does as well. So who knows? This one might be called Popcorn. Hard to say. I have no idea. Now, Terry in Scotland, Olympia is a major whale enclave, is it not? Well, no, not anymore. No, not anymore. But yes, at one point it was. Just like a town that I grew up in called Silverdale got its start as a whaling hub. It was a whaling town. There was whaling industries for many years in the Puget Sound, and Olympia absolutely was one of them. But Olympia, like Silverdale, stopped being a whaling town when, there was no whales left. And so seeing whales that far down in the Puget Sound and that far into the inlets just was, until the last 25 years, was virtually unheard of. So, well, Terry in Scotland, not whale, wahite. I, for some reason, thought that you meant whale, even though I know what I should have known. And oh my, Terry in Scotland, yes. Olympia is very wahite. Very, very wahite. Now, for those who might not know what wahite is, let me just tell you, I'm wahite. I'm haole. I'm white. So wahite is just a funny way of saying white. And Olympia is definitely one of the whiter towns I've ever lived in my life. In a group of people in Olympia, you might have to squint because so much reflective light is coming off of the skin. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean that as a warning. And yeah, exactly, Kenny from the Cove. I'm kind of whale fixated right now. So, hey, it looks like we've got Pratic Gaming 23. Hi, hey, how's it? Good to see you here. We are talking about white people. We're talking about whales. We're talking about baby whales. We're talking about captured whales. And then before that, let's see, what were we talking about before that? Oh, before that, we were talking about Duke Kanahamoku. And I don't know if you guys had the opportunity to watch. Yeah, we're going to go backwards in time now. I don't know how many of you guys had the opportunity to watch the Duke Kanahamoku documentary on PBS last night. But if you didn't, you should go check out the American Masters series on PBS. Go find the Duke Kanahamoku series. They are streaming it right now. or they're streaming it at your leisure. And you really will learn a whole lot of things about old school Hawaii, actually, and a whole lot of other things. So, Starburp 1312, good to see you. And oh, you just landed in Germany? Well, then you might not be able to watch the PBS thing unless you use a VPN. I don't remember what VPN stands for. Something like virtual private network, maybe. Don't quote me. But VPNs, for those of you who don't know, are a way to trick your internet service provider into thinking that you're someplace else. So think places like Netflix or YouTube. Well, I don't know about YouTube, but places like Netflix and probably PBS, they oftentimes limit their audiences based on their location. So if you want to trick your computer into thinking, no, dude, I'm not really in the UK. Shut up. I know I'm in the UK. I'm not really in the UK. And you want to trick your computer into telling them you're in the USA so you can watch PBS, The Waterman, the Waterman documentary. Well, that's what you're going to need the VPN for, as it were. So, well, yeah. Okay. So, you're from New York there, Pratted Gaming 23, but if you're in Germany right now, would you be able to access PBS, the United States PBS station? I'm actually not arguing. Like, I'm actually, I'm wondering, because I know about this much about VPNs and things like that. So, look, don't quote me, as we might want to say. So, oh yeah, you don't know. You're just using the airport Wi-Fi, right? Yeah, exactly. So, so you might not be able to watch Waterman, the American Masters series about Duke Kanahamoku when you're in Germany, but if you can somehow trick your computer into thinking you're back in the United States, then pbs.org, search Waterman, it's streaming, and it's a really phenomenal documentary. And let's see here, eMusic, you didn't get a notification yesterday that I was streaming. That's interesting. I don't know why Twitch sometimes sends out notifications or not. So, yeah. So, okay. So Shock, you're telling me, okay, by the way, hey, Shock-a-Lock, good to see you. And okay, you're telling me that YouTube restricts by network location as well. That kind of makes sense. And so, and Katie Zora, she's all over it. Oh yeah, I know. VPN, American Netflix. Yep. We got it covered. So yeah, Katie Zora, that VPN that you're using for the American Netflix, you could totally get onto the PBS and watch The Waterman easy peasy, I'm sure. That being said, I've never used a VPN, so I don't really know how easy peasy it really is. But it sounds like you've got it covered, so you do that. And let's see here. Shock, right. Well, you can't watch PBS. Okay, so Shock's saying I can't watch PBS Hawaii here in Virginia, which is true. But it's since PBS nationwide was the one that was showing the Waterman movie, I don't think that matters that much. You know, I mean, as long as you can access the United States PBS site. Although, I don't know, for all I know, PBS might be available in England and in Europe and stuff. I mean, I really don't know. Obviously, I'm not in England or Europe. I'm in Seattle, you know, so let's see here. Pinnell, you weren't getting Twitch notifications for weeks. Let's see here. VPN doesn't work well. It's a slow internet. Gotcha. And okay, so Pinnell, you can get PBS on TV. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I know that, I know that in Washington State, we get a lot of CBC stuff. So we do have some reciprocity in regards to channels. So I wouldn't be, surprised if that you get PBS up in Canada. Although I do wonder, like, do people in Florida get CBC stuff? I bet you they don't, but I bet you I don't know what I'm talking about either. So, let's see here. Well, okay, yeah, okay, so Shock, yeah, PBS cares where you are, because you were asked to verify your local PBS affiliate. Well, right, but that's, I think that's just for the live streaming, because you can live stream what that location is broadcasting at the moment. So I think that that's why they needed you to do that. But I don't know what I'm talking about. So I think we already know that I don't know what I'm talking about. Either way, public broadcasting service station. I don't really know what the S stands for. PBS.org. The Duke Kanahamoku documentary was very, very interesting. Even if you don't really care about the dude, if you want to know anything about Hawaiian history, there's a lot going on in that movie. Let's just say there's a lot of layers to be peeled back in that movie. I really do want to watch it again. And Terry in Scotland, reciprocity. Yeah, there we go. Yes, have another drink. Hey, I haven't had one drink yet today, except for my pamplemousse, which I only say to bother anyone who speaks French. That is correct. And Shock, you're just saying PBS Hawaii had no aloha for you, even though they were streaming, something. Okay. All right. So yeah, I guess maybe PBS really does care where you're at, which is why you might need a VPN. There we go. Says me, who doesn't know how to work a VPN. Shoot, I can barely know how to work a gimbal. I mean, well, if you guys were here at the beginning, you know what I mean. I can barely work a gimbal. Yeah. So, all right, Pratic Gaming 23, good to see you. And yeah, if you're in India and we're hanging out, come on and take care and come on and join us. We'll be back online Saturday, West Coast time, 6 p.m. for a movie. But I have no idea where you'll be or what time it's going to be at that time. So come on over when you can. And let's see here. It looks like your gimbal only pasty. Yeah, I think that there's a similar one that's gray or something. And I saw that online and I was scared that it wasn't the same and that it wasn't going to tell me what I needed to do. But as it turns out, I think it's the same. So yeah, take care, Pratic Gaming, and travel safe. Eat good food when you're in India. Or not. Just be sure to have some cake. I hear there's lots of cake in India. I don't know why, but I hear there is. There you go. I know, the strangest things that come out of my mouth. Cake? India? Yeah, no, that's what I heard. So yeah, there we have it. All right, y'all. It looks like Pratic Gaming's got to go because he's got a flight to catch going off to India or whatever, being all up in Germany and everything. Oh, and it's your first time in India. Oh, wow, dude. Hopefully you're going to, well, you know all the things you want to do. Take pictures, experience it all. But yeah, I'm super stoked that you're going someplace so exotic. Everybody I know who's ever gone to India has had a great experience. So I hope that is the same for you. And Kenny from the Cove, of course I had to say cake. I don't think that we talked that much about food before now. And you know that there has to be at least one mention of food. One mention of food in my stream. I know, right? Cake? Where? Well, okay. I had a friend who lived in India for a while. She now lives in England. But she was a roller derby friend of mine. She's from Missouri. She gets around. I didn't mean it that way. I mean, she's lived a lot of places. And she said the one thing that she really misses about living in India is just walking down the street, seeing a bakery, going in and buying a small piece of cake. Because apparently that's like a normal thing that people do in India is they just go and they get a small piece of cake and then they go and they walk down the street and they eat their cake. And I don't know if it was just the city specific that she's in. And India, by the way, is, you know, a huge country with a multitude of cultures. And so this one thing that she said is probably true for like this tiny little area in India. And the rest of India is just like, cake? Why the would you mention cake? Yeah, so obviously I'm really, you know, not talking about something I know. But I do know that Yeah, if you got time, better eat some cake in India. Exactly. I just know that my friend who lived there, that was one of the things that she missed the most about India was a lack of cake. Just random tiny pieces of cake. Because she didn't want to be obliged to buy a whole one. And the big pieces that you get at American bakeries, like, you can't walk down the street eating that. It's big. She just wanted a small piece of cake, like she got in India. There you go. So, yeah, cake. There you have it. On that note, we're going to wrap things up because it is almost 1 minute until we're going to close shop here. So, I'm super stoked that you guys got to hang out with us today. I'm super stoked that we've got a couple new people that came in. Pratic Gaming 23 looking in your direction. And I'm super stoked that we had all those raiders. And is the cake tasty? I don't know. She misses it, so I guess that it's tasty enough for her to miss it. I don't know. Like I said, man, never been to India, so I cannot promise you the most delicious cake. But I've been told there will be cake. So, so when you arrive in India, stand there. I have been told there will be cake. And then people will look at you, and then you won't fit in, and then it'll be a bad idea, so don't do that. Yeah. So now we're getting silly, talking about cake, and there we have it. See Honda, exactly. Mad Statter's India tour. There will be cake. Fantastic. Go seek out some cake and see if you like it. See if it meets up to our American standards, or if it's better. Because my friend made it sound like it was better. So there you have it. All right. We are going to wrap it up. But like I said, thank you, Raiders. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Thank you for this very silly time. And hopefully we will be able to see each other on Saturday. In theory, we will be watching Tuskegee Airmen. And if we're not watching Tuskegee Airmen, we will be watching Harvey. Harvey, a movie from like the 1940s, I think, maybe the 1950s. It's in black and white. It's about a 6-foot-tall bunny rabbit. And yeah, it's one of those two movies. So that's what it'll be. All right, then. Good to see you guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. And I will see you on Saturday. Take care.